Hello and welcome. Why am I on the bottom? Hello and welcome along to the breaking news pod here on the Rangers Rabble. I'm Martin and I'm joined by Alan and Brian. Not really a kind of breaking news that we want to be discussing, but it involves Rangers and whether it's good or bad, we shall discuss it. Now, obviously, Rangers have released a statement regarding all the videos and stuff that everybody's seen yesterday on social media. I should have got Brian to do this, but I will very, very quickly read it. So the statement says Rangers can confirm that an investigation is now complete in regard to a video circulating on social media yesterday. The individuals involved have been identified and will be banned indefinitely from all Rangers games. Furthermore, the RSC, of which they were members and travelled with to the game, have been banned from receiving tickets for future fixtures. Alan, we spoke about this a wee bit yesterday, but we couldn't get too into it because obviously there was an investigation going on. The investigation is over after probably less than 24 hours. What do you make of the result of that said investigation?
Swift. To be honest, a lot quicker than probably me or you or anybody else was expecting. Rangers have acted within the powers of Rangers Football Club. I have no doubt that there'll be, if there's been a criminal complaint made, that there'll be police investigations, but certainly Rangers have acted within the powers of the football club, and I think it's sensible. A sensible decision. Some people might think it's a bit harsh on the innocent parties within the supporters club that are being punished. However, I think Rangers have made that decision for a reason, a tactical reason, and it's to encourage self-policing, basically. Because if you go on a supporters bus any other game and somebody starts doing something stupid, I'm pretty sure the members of that club will not be long in telling you to sit down and shut up and behave yourself, because they know what the consequences may be of that. So I think it's been a tactical decision, that one, and banning the individuals indefinitely. So I think it's sensible. I'm surprised at how quick it's been, but I'm glad it's done quickly. We've got a massive week this week in the football park, with two huge games coming up, both must wins. I want to be talking about Rangers winning those two games at the end of the week, and we're still talking about this incident for yesterday. So I'm glad it's done, and I think a lot of Rangers fans will be relieved that it's done.
Relieved, Brian, that it's done. It's a massive week for us. So I suppose we can be thankful that, Rangers didn't, sit in their hands and ignore this. The Rangers were straight out and they've dealt with the situation.
Yeah, I think that's a fair comment. I mean, as Alan said, I don't think any of us expected it to be as done and dusted as quick as it is. But at least now that the week that's over with, now we can get on with at least the club as a whole can get on with concentrating in midweek and then the fixture at the weekend without anything hanging over us now.
And the punishment, Alan, obviously we'll come to the supporters club in a wee second, but the punishment of indefinite, sorry, I'm struggling to speak, I'm very, very tired. Indefinite bans for the fans the people on the supporters bus who were found guilty of doing it. No complaints with that?
No, I think the wording it's been very clever as well. These bans, I think it's important that it's not lifetime bans. It's indefinite bans, and that's probably going to be pending any criminal police investigation that I just spoke about. So I think the wording of that's very clever as well. I think that's fair. I think that's fair, and I think the individuals they probably realise that's fair, and they're probably feeling very sorry for themselves and feel like they've let a lot of people down this morning when they woke up and realised they were plastered all over social media. So I very briefly saw that individuals were resigning for posts within Rangers supporters clubs and apologising to their members for their actions. So, they clearly know that they know that there was wrongdoing yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
They know that they've embarrassed themselves. They've let down their supporters club, and most importantly for me, they've let down and embarrassed Rangers Football Club.
Yeah, they have. 100%, Brian. We've got a comment in from John Scott who asks or says, thought the club can't be held accountable if an incident occurs away from the ground. I don't think Rangers have done this investigation because they feel that Rangers would then become accountable. I think they've done it because it was the right thing to do.
Well, yeah, it's the decent thing to do. We were all up in arms when Kamara got abused on the pitch through racism. So for us to then turn around and ignore this would be quite hypocritical of us. No, I don't think they could have done real much more. I mean, they've identified the guys who were involved, and as I said before, they've acted quicker than I ever thought they would. And yeah, there was no real defence for them at all, to be quite honest.
No defence, absolutely none. The supporters club, Alan, has been the decision, obviously, to not give them any tickets going forward has been met, I suppose, with a kind of, I'm not 100% sure if that's the correct decision from some fans, and other fans have went, no, it's the right decision. Firstly, where do you stand on that personally, and do you think it's the right decision that the club have made?
I don't know if it's the right decision. I'm sympathetic with the members of the supporters bus that are being punished for this, that never done anything wrong. We saw that in the video. There was people not taking part. They're not going to get tickets for future games through the supporters bus, and that's a shame as well. I'm sure the supporters bus has probably signed up to the MyJers scheme for supporters clubs, and they're going to be punished through that. So it's unfortunate, and I have a load of sympathy with them. I think it seems harsh on them, but I think, as I said in the opening comments, I think Rangers have made this decision for a reason, and I can understand the reason. So yes, I feel sorry for them. Yes, I sympathise with them, but I understand Rangers' decision. Whether or not it's harsh, we could debate that all night if we really wanted to.
Well, I suppose when it comes to situations like this, Brian, we're not really here to debate. We're just here to speak facts, and what the supporters done was wrong, and the consequences of their actions, I think, have been fair. However, the supporters, the RSC, sorry, like I just asked Alan, with the whole not allowed tickets in the future, did Rangers have any other option but to stop them from having tickets?
Yeah, as Alan says, we could debate this for quite a while. As Alan says, it's so hard on the guys that were doing nothing, just sitting there, maybe having a snooze, didn't even know it was happening. And you've got to feel sorry for these guys. But I suppose after Rangers being so vociferous and angry about what happened to Kamara, then you kind of think, well, if the shoe fits one foot, then it's got to fit this one.
Mm-hmm.
You can't pick and choose what you class as racism and what isn't.
No, you can't pick and choose. Personally, I'm happy with. I mean, it's not that it's got anything to do with me, but I'm just happy that Rangers have came to this decision quickly, swiftly, and I really do feel it's the correct decision, Alan. Especially with the week of all weeks. No, listen, it doesn't matter what week you're racist. If you're racist, you're racist. But if Rangers hadn't come out so quickly and done what they've done, the intentions could have really been stoked this week as well. That's another danger of what these supporters have done.
Yeah, there will be a lot of tension this week just because of the nature of the two games that we've got, and you want to be. This all sounds strange, but you want that to be enjoyable tension. You want the build up to the games, things like that. You want that. But you don't need this spotlight on the club. You don't need people thinking they need to retaliate. I think Rangers have acted quickly, and it's going to help diffuse a lot of situations. There was a lot of outrage last night, some of it genuine, some of it was just absolute nonsense in my opinion. Some of the stuff I was reading, it was fake outrage, and Rangers acting so quickly have pulled the plug on that, and they've not given anybody an excuse any now. Just when you're talking there, I was looking at some of the comments, and somebody said that you think it's about harsh, Malky, you think it's about harsh to to expect someone to get involved, you could end up stabbed. And I think you're right. The self-policing thing for me, yeah. A lot of people are put off by it because you know the confrontation you're going to face. However, in the situation of a supporters bus, thinking about my own supporters bus, there are on that bus, as there are with another bus, who will be influential over the rest of the club. And they're the ones that, you know, I know if somebody was on my bus being an idiot, that there's one or two people that would have a word with them and tell them to wind their neck in, and they would instantly do it. And I would imagine every supporters bus is the same up and down the country. So yeah, there's a time and a place for to get involved in self-policing, but I think the supporters buses is probably one of the safer places you can do it, because everybody knows each other.
Could you imagine if this was left till Wednesday or Thursday though? And it was, the tension would have built, and then, you know, at least it's done. It's done now, and that's it.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Because let's be honest, and I don't even know if we should get into this, but look, the media, the mainstream media, would have loved Rangers not to react swiftly so that they could sell a couple more days of papers. We've already seen them trying to stoke the fires with some ridiculous comments in the media, Brian. So again, it just all comes back to the speed and the actions of Rangers as well. And we listen, we have a rivalry with Celtic. We dislike Celtic because they are our rivals. But Brian, we can't just ignore what's happened. We have to show faith and just be on Kyogo's side with all this as well, because it's not fair on the player. I'm actually struggling. I'm trying to think about what I'm saying before I say it, because I don't want to have a stupid slip of the tongue.
Yeah, but I mean, it worked the other way when Kamara got abused. Yeah. It was an Old Firm game the next time, and the Celtic team and, you know, staff and all them went behind Kamara, and it was much appreciated. And I would imagine it'll happen in Sunday, because there's no doubt it will. Because Rangers appreciate it and they'll reciprocate the Celtic. I 100% guarantee it will.
Absolutely. Right, okay, right. Listen, that will do it on that. I think we've covered basically everything that we can. We will have a preview tomorrow, by the way. Tomorrow night, if I can get the guys to do it, we'll be doing the Europa League and the Old Firm game at the weekend. But just before we go, because I know this was only going to be a wee short one, Brian, you mentioned it to me before we came on, along with obviously the club statement. Chris Jack and the Glasgow Times broke the story that Rangers have won a lawsuit regarding the Singe deal.
Yeah. I mean, Rangers told them what was going to happen, and they still went ahead with this attempt to have arbitration against the club. And Rangers Parks of Hamilton have now won their case, so there's no arbitration just now. It's just another example of the SFA and the SPFL just thinking they're right no matter what happens, and they've just been shown up again for what they are. They're just absolute bampots. They just can't. They couldn't run a piss up in a brewery, quite example. To be quite frank, they really are.
Alan, I don't know if did you see this, because I know that you were straight in, had your tea, and then you were coming on.
Yeah, I didn't. Just as I was coming on, actually, I saw our group chat lighting up with comments from Wilf, and I don't know who else posted it. Was it Elaine maybe? So I've not had a chance to read them yet, so I'll catch up with that once we come off there.
No, basically we've won the first battle in the war with the SPFL over this whole Singe debacle. But listen, we'll leave that for another time. That's not really what we're on to talk about. Thank you everybody for tuning in. We will be back tomorrow with a preview of the Europa League and Old Firm games. Thank you very much for tuning in. Please do subscribe and like if you enjoy the content. And we shall speak to you very, very soon. Cheers.